It's a great day, sports world. What's going on to all the sports lovers, haters, addicts, and fanatics out there? This is Larry Patterson coming to you for GT365. That's Game Time 365 Sports live here on the GTSN. It's the Game Time Sports Network. And we got a little Thursday night football pre-show. Got a little action tonight. Denver Broncos, Cleveland Browns, a battle of 3-3 teams, a battle of two teams that's struggling right now. Denver coming on a 3-game losing streak after bursting on the scene of the season with a 3-game winning streak, wins against the Giants, the Jaguars, the Jets, and then you stepping up against real competition with losses against the Ravens. Lamar Jackson pick you apart. Ben Roethlisberger, he picks you apart. And then Najee Harris, he has a breakout game. And then Derek Carr, who picked you apart last week. In the wake of the head coach situation that they got going on over there. So Denver is going through a tough patch right now. On top of that, injuries on top of injuries. Coaching is just crazy. The Browns started out with a loss against the Chiefs of the season. And picked up 2 straight wins, I want to say. And then I don't really have it in front of me of what they did after the Chiefs game, but they're 3-3. They're coming off the loss against Arizona last week, and both teams are in a position where they need to win this game. The Broncos are a little bit more healthier than the Browns. The Browns are going to be without Baker Mayfield tonight, who's got a shoulder injury going on. Reports were saying that he might be shut down for the season due to that, but he was doing all he can to get back on the field. He's a no-go tonight. Kareem Hunt is also out. Nick Chubb is also out. So 3 of their prime guys, the muscle of that offense, not going to be on the field tonight. Baker Mayfield in week 6 against the Cardinals, 19-28. 234 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He carried the rock 3 times, 8 yards. On the season, 116 for 173, 1,474 yards, 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, a 67 completion percentage. I know that sometimes that can be a little bit overrated. He can be sacked 18 times. Case Keenum will be at the helm tonight. He'll get the start. He was 1 for 3 for 6 yards against that little sample size that he had last week against the Cardinals. Keenum's last start came week 16 as a member of the Washington football team. He has a career completion percentage of 62. He's got 75 touchdowns, 47 interceptions, and a quarterback rating of 85. And it doesn't help that much that the Browns O-line allowed 18 sacks. That's tied for 26th. Aside from week 5 against the Chargers, where he only had 1 sack, but week 1 against KC, they registered 2 sacks. Week 2 against Houston, registered 2 sacks. Week 3 at Chicago, 5 sacks. Week 4 at Minnesota, that's 3 sacks. And week 6, last week against Arizona, there's 5 sacks. So I don't know if Jedrick Wills or Jack Conklin are going to be playing tonight. I know they were listed as questionable earlier. If they are playing, that'll definitely help them out a little bit better. Remember, Keenum doesn't have to throw for 400 yards to win the game. He can just got to work with what's around him. Broncos pass rush, though. 2 sacks, 4 quarterback hits, and 9 pressures against the Raiders last week. Just 1 sack, 2 quarterback hits, and 3 pressures against Pittsburgh the week before. The pass rush ranks 11, tied for 11th in team sacks, 17th in pressures, 57 pressures, tied for 17th, and 9th in pressure percentage at a 26.3. Tied for 24th in quarterback hits, 29. So you're not really getting after the quarterback. The pass rush is not working. Of course, you don't have Bradley Chubb, who seems to just be always injured. He's not there. So Von Miller is just basically taking up everything. Malik Reed, he give you a little something, but it ain't what Von Miller giving you. And then it's not really. It's like Von Miller, Malik Reed, mostly Von Miller, and then that's it as far as pass rushing. Von Miller leads the team with quarterback hits 8, sacks 4.5, pressures 15, blitzing the quarterback 30. Malik Reed 4 quarterback hits, 2 sacks, 25 blitzes on the quarterback, and 10 pressures. Most of it's second. I think the blitzes is third, but that's basically all you have. Rushing that quarterback. Hopefully, Shelby Harris, Draymond Jones, Deshaun Williams, some of the those guys can get in there and get after that quarterback. Take advantage of what this line is looking like tonight. The pass defense has been a little suspect these past few weeks. It still ranks 11th, 229 yards per game, and a rating of an 84. That's 4th in the league. Patrick Surtain, according to PFF, ranked 84 out of 118 cornerbacks last week. He had a grade of 52.8 in coverage. So last week and these past few weeks have not been a good week for these cornerbacks. Ronald Darby just coming back last week. He had a coverage grade of a 50.6. He was burnt on a couple plays, ranked 87 out of 118. Bryce Callahan still seems to stay in that middle of the pack lane, ranked 40 out of 118 corners. He still stays with a 69.1 coverage, most of his snaps coming out the slot. Kyle Fuller, big disappointment. We thought when Denver was getting Kyle Fuller in the offseason, knowing that he was used to Fangio's system, we were thinking that, hey, this is a nice piece, but he's just been burnt all everywhere. He's got a 40.6 coverage grade. Justin Simmons at a 44 coverage grade. Kareem Jackson at 61.5. Caden Stearns, when called upon, does give you some good play. He's got 2 sacks, I believe, on the year. I want to say he got an interception too. I might be wrong, but I really like Caden Stearns. So hopefully, maybe if those, he can get him a spot tonight. You can see what Caden Stearns is about, rookie out of Texas. So that says, what about their pass defense? Derek Carr. Now, even though he was sacked twice against Denver last week, but he was 16-27, 3 get to Keenum a little bit faster. It's a week by week thing. We don't have Baker Mayfield. It's not our fault, but hey, we gotta deal with and take care of things. So hopefully Denver can come out here with a win. Odell Beckham was questionable tonight. I think he had a shoulder issue going on. Last week against the Cardinals, he was targeted 8 times, 5 catches, 79 yards. On the season, he's got 27 targets, 14 catches, 203 yards. So he's looked upon, but just not getting the catches. So maybe all that changes tonight if he plays. Donovan Peoples-Jones burst on the scene last week. He had 5 targets, 4 catches, 101 yards, and 2 touchdowns. On the season, just 13 catches, 15 targets, 228 yards, 2 touchdowns. So those are some of the things that you can look at tonight. Nick Chubb is out with the calf injury. Missed the first game of the season last week, and this marks the second game in a row. On the season, 90 carries, 523 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 5.8 yards per carry. I really do feel like it'd be a big difference if they had him and Kareem Hunt, who's also got a calf injury. Difference is Kareem Hunt is going to be out for 4 to 6. Last week against the Cardinals, 14 carries, 66 yards. On the season, 69 carries, 361 yards, 5 touchdowns, 5.2 yards per carry, 24 targets, 20 catches for 161 yards. So now comes on the scene Dearness Johnson, who just had 3 carries for 11 yards, 3.7 yards per carry last week. He could make a name for himself tonight. He also had a catch for 7 yards. Demetric Felton, who's more used as a wide receiver, maybe, but he is a running back, and maybe he can get some touches tonight too. So I mean, I think that those guys are pretty quick. Never underestimating them, especially if they got Jedrick Wills and Jack Conklin back to complement the line. Demetric Felton, 9 targets, 8 catches for 90 yards and a touchdown. So he could also see some snaps. Broncos run defense against the Raiders, 86 yards, 2 touchdowns. Against the Steelers, 147 yards, 1 touchdown. And against the Ravens, 102 yards, 1 touchdown. That's where the mold kind of broke. But when they played the Giants, they surrendered 60 yards and a touchdown. Against the Jaguars, 75 yards. And against the Jets, just 43 yards. But they still rank 4th, giving up 85.5 yards per game and 3.7 yards per carry. That's tied for 4th. Teddy Bridgewater, hopefully he came into the game. He came into this kind of like questionable with a foot issue going on. So hopefully he is healthy enough to finish the game. If not, you'll see snaps from Drew Lock. Teddy against the Raiders, 334 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He had a rating of an 84.9, and he was sacked 5 times. So that Raiders defensive line definitely got after him last week. Against the Steelers, he was sacked twice. 24-38, 288 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. He had a rating of a 92.9. Against the Ravens, he left early due to the concussion, but he was just 7 for 16 and a touchdown. It does seem like, when he's in, the Broncos have a better chance to win, but he's so limited. And so far on the season, 139 for 198, 1,514 yards, 10 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He's got a rating of 100.9. So that's very different for him, but he's been sacked 16 times. So he's not being protected as he should. And he has a completion percentage of a 70.2. Noah Fant could have a big day today. I think some of those linebackers for the Browns, they're out. Jeremiah Musakor Mora. If I mispronounced his name, my bad. But he's out. I think he's on IR for a couple weeks. But Noah Fant could have a big night. He's got 11 targets. He had 11 targets, 9 catches, 97 yards, and a touchdown last week. 42 targets, 30 catches, 273 yards, 3 touchdowns on the year for Noah Fant. Cortland Sutton's also a weapon that you could see for the Broncos tonight. He had 14 targets, 8 catches, 94 yards, and a touchdown. 53 targets, 33 catches, 471 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the season. In week 2 against Jacksonville, he had a 9-catch, 159 yard game. In week 5 at Pitt, he had a 7-catch, 120 yard day, and he also caught a touchdown. And then last week he had a touchdown, 8 catches, 94 yards. So Cortland Sutton starting to heat up. Maybe you'll see some Denzel Ward against Cortland Sutton, maybe some Greedy Williams against Cortland Sutton. Greedy Williams is definitely playing pretty good ball now that he's available this year. I'm happy to see that. The Browns Tim Patrick. He had some pretty big days too as well. In week 3 against the Jets, he had 5 catches, 98 yards, and in week 5 against Pittsburgh, he had 7 catches, 89 yards. He's got 3 total touchdowns on the year, and Against the Raiders last week, he had a touchdown, 3 catches, 42 yards off 6 targets. On the season, he's got 34 targets, 25 catches, 344 yards. So Tim definitely doing work. And then when you get Jerry Jeudy back, this is what I was talking about in 32 teams in 32 days, and as well as other analysts too. When you got all these weapons, you got Tim Patrick. When Jerry Jeudy comes back, and you got Cortland Sutton, and then you got a KJ Hamlin, a Noah Fant, and an Albert Okwuegbunam. Now that's a lot. That's a lot. But injuries, so you can't help that. Browns pass defense versus Kyler Murray last week. Kyler Murray was 20 of 30, 229 yards, 4 touchdowns. And the week before that, when they played Justin Herbert, Herbert went 26 of 43 for 398 and 4 touchdowns. They still ranked 9th, giving up 220 yards per game. Denzel Ward targeted 30 times, completed against 19 times. He's got a 63.3 completion percentage. Greedy Williams, 29 times he was targeted, 18 completions, 62.1 completion percentage. Troy Hill, 20 targets, 12 completions against him, 60 completion percentage. So John Johnson, 16 targets, 8 completions against him for 50 completion percentage. Sometimes that's a little overrated as well. But they've been struggling too. And I believe that Western, the rookie out of Northwestern, Greg Newsome, I think he's still out also. So no telling when he's coming back. Browns pass rush got 18 sacks. That's tied for 3rd in the league. A pressure percentage of a 30.9. That's 2nd. 69 pressures. That's 3rd. So they can definitely get after Myles, led by Myles Garrett, who's got 8 sacks, 27 pressures, 17 quarterback hits, and Jadeveon Clowney, who also came into the game questionable. Don't know if he's playing or not. He's got 3 sacks, 15 pressures, and 9 quarterback hits. For the Broncos, going up against the Broncos O-line, this is a marquee matchup that I want to see. Myles Garrett going against Garrett Bowles. And Garrett Bowles, for the Broncos country that have been knowing about Garrett Bowles, his first 3 seasons, he was not a very good left tackle. He came into his 4th year and just transformed into one of the best left tackles last year. He's still doing a pretty good job this year. Still one of the best left tackles in the game. For past couple games, he's been he had to kind of struggle a little bit with the penalties, but it's not that bad. You're subject to 1 or 2, but he's still been doing fairly well. It's a big change from hearing his name being called in penalties for holding or false starts to now, you rarely even hear it. But 2 Broncos O-line, 2+ sacks allowed in each game. Against the Raiders, 5 sacks. Against Pittsburgh, 2 sacks. Against Baltimore, they had 2 sacks. Against the Jets, they had 2 sacks. Against the Jags, they had 3 sacks. And against the Giants, they had 2 sacks. So and still with those linemen, Garrett Bowles, according to PFF, a 73 offensive grade, a pass block grade of a 75, and a run block grade of a 66. Dalton Reisner, he's got a good pass block grade. Lloyd Cushenberry's got a good pass block grade. But Bobby Massey's got a good run block grade. But everybody else, hopefully they can, get to this, protect Teddy tonight and stop this Cleveland pass rush from getting to them. I know I may seem a little kind of biased, but I'm in due for my team to get a win tonight, and we need this win, man. We need it. It's going to be a long season. This is just week 7, so that Broncos run game though. Melvin Gordon, 10 carries, 50 yards, 5 yards per carry last week. He's got 70 carries, 332 yards. 2 touchdowns, 4.7 yards per carry on the season, 16 targets, 13 catches, 119 yards. and they rank that whole run game ranks 14th, 117 yards per game. So that's not bad. It's middle of the pack. Javonte Williams, the rookie who's been breaking tackles, I think he leads the league in broken tackles amongst rookies or just broken tackles. But he is definitely a beast. 11 carries, 53 yards last week against the Raiders. He's got 65 carries, 300 yards, 1 touchdown, averaging 4.6 yards per carry. He's also got 15 targets, 14 receptions for 90 yards. So he's definitely used well in the pass game. Hopefully he can be used a little bit more. The Broncos rank offensively on third down 32nd. That's dead last. So third downs, they are not a good team. And in the red zone, they're ranked offensively 28th. So hopefully they can fix that tonight. Browns run defense ranked 6th, 87 yards per game and 3.6 yards per carry. That ranks 3rd. So against Arizona, 144 yards was surrendered. At the Chargers, 112 yards and 3 touchdowns. At Minnesota, 64 yards. Against Chicago, just 46. Against Houston, 82 yards and a touchdown. And at KC, 73 yards and a touchdown. So that it just hasn't gotten all together. And of course, within the first 5 to maybe 10 weeks, your team is not figured out. But I got the Broncos winning this game 17-16. I think it's going to be a little low scoring. The face being in, you got to get some used to it. I know he probably got some first team reps, and it'll be a struggle for Casey tonight. Could be a little different. See 17-16 in the comments. Tell me what you think. Who's going to win tonight? Broncos country or the dog pound? This is Larry Patterson for GT365. That's Game Time 365 Sports Live here on the GTSN. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, Game Time Sports Network. If you haven't liked the Facebook page, Game Time Sports Network.